Today I'm adding texture to this painting in Artrage. Hi everyone, Steve Elliott here again. I'm still playing around with Artrage. I'm loving this app. This is on the iPad, it's not the desktop version. And I'm just experimenting with the oil paint. I've got a thing going about how I like to mess around with the thick paint. But I'm being a little bit more subtle with it now, or maybe not so subtle. I don't know. It depends on your point of view. So what I'm trying to do is get down the colours and pretty much the base of the painting, just using the basic oil paint brush, so it doesn't add any texture to that. And then what I want to do, I'm going to use the thick oil paint brush to get in the leaves and some of the leaves in the foreground. And then I'm going to use the tube of paint to squirt that in the foreground and try and get some really thick texture going in that in the front or the foreground of the painting. So let's see how that goes on. I'm doing this, I'm going to paint this all in one layer. I'm finding that I'm liking the, if you can do it in one layer, I like the way the paints merge together with the brush, so it kind of blends colour on the canvas rather than sort of keep creating layers and you get these hard edges, and they can look quite false at times. But if you do it all on one layer, it merges them colours together and it looks so much more exciting and vibrant. And you can see at the minute I've got a pretty much abstract thing going off with sort of local colour going in there, and I've just started to think about a little bit of detail with those two stone steps in this path that leads up the side of this hill. And I'm going to try and keep a similar kind of colour scheme going. I know it sort of splits the painting in two, where we've got the greens in the top half and the oranges and yellows in the bottom half. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to sort of essentially keep the top half green, but add the odd yellow and orange leaf to sort of try and tie that all together. So I'm getting in there pretty much straight away with some strong colour in the foreground. And then I'm going to go in with the tree and the leaves and just see what happens. So at the minute, I am using the flat oil brush and I'm just using it all at one size. I'm not adjusting the size of that at all. And I'm selecting colours off the colour picker, not off the photo. I want to sort of mix them up a bit. And I am using the photo as reference to select the colours in. And what I mean by that is I'm looking at the photo and thinking, you know, if you look hard at something, you can look sort of past the grey of something and think that's got a touch of blue in it or purple. So that photo to me looks like in the darks it's got blue, but I've added a bit more purple in there to warm it up a little bit. Although it is going to be fairly warm because of all those nice autumn colours. And then I'm going in with this tree now. So I'm still on the same layer, and I love the way the paint sort of smudges and drags through the existing colours. So a branch might start off dark near the bottom and then sort of goes off to a much lighter colour as the brush is dragged through that light paint. Very natural looking, a really nice effect. And now I'm going in with the darker colours on the right hand side, and I think they are a lot darker than the photo and clearly a lot more warmer. There's sort of a purple colour to that isn't there in the photograph. And now I'm adding some detail, I suppose, with lighter leaves. And I really sort of enjoyed the way this came together. It was sort of really just sort of painting these abstract shapes that just suddenly halfway through start to take form and look like a landscape. The photo, I've got this Samsung Galaxy Note 8, and every time I use it, I think I'm going to change the photo settings so it uses sort of a regular size. It takes this full length of your camera picture, which is obviously very long, and it would be great for a sort of a panorama type scene, but not for a regular painting perhaps. So I have changed the aspect ratio in my painting a lot to that photograph, but I don't think it matters at all. I think I've got just the right amount of foreground going off there, and it works out really well. I'm sort of doing the thirds thing, where I've got the main parts of the painting dissected on the thirds. So if you sort of draw lines through the thirds, you could find that the tree, it's not quite on the third, but it's getting there. And the bottom right of the foreground is probably just over a third, and the footpath is in the middle third, and so on. So it's sort of loosely working on the thirds, but not too much. I then once I've got this initial painting in, because I like to think that, as you work through the painting, you can stop at any point and you've got a finished painting. So I've gone in with this really loose, big, bold colours, and now I'm going over it and adding detail. So you've kind of got the basic idea of the painting and everything's in there, but I'm now just going in and adding detail with shadows and highlights, really. So I've got the sort of mid colours down on the canvas, and I'm now going in with those darks and the highlights as well, and I'm continually adjusting them and fine-tuning them and thinking, that looks all right. It doesn't look, it looks as though I'm just sort of dabbing all over the place and going, just putting these abstract colours on, but I'm not. I'm studying it and thinking, yeah, that looks right. That's okay. I'm liking that. That looks like a convincing clump of leaves. And then in other places, I'm thinking, no, that's not working at all. That needs darkening up a bit, or lightening up, or whatever. So now this is a good example, because I put these leaves in that are sort of slightly in the front of that main tree, and they're clearly way too light and way too big. So I then start sculpting into them and cutting them back with the dark colours, just to make them a little bit more subtle and not so in your face. And also I soften off the colour to the edge of the painting. I don't want your eye being dragged to the edge of the painting to see those sort of light coloured leaves. So in a minute you'll see that I get some dark colour and just paint into it a little bit. There we go. I'm starting to paint into that, just to soften off those edges at the side a little bit. And then I think they become much more, there we are, look, I'm softening that off now. And they become much more convincing and realistic and not in your face. So that's how I'm kind of working it. And then I added, I don't know if you noticed then, I quickly added a little, an extra leaf below the main clump of the two light clumps, the bottom one. I added a few more leaves because I felt that it just mirrored it exactly and it looked like the same set of leaves. So I just changed the shape slightly of the bottom set so it looked a bit more balanced. And now I'm looking at the sort of shadows and getting those in, because this painting's really, as much as it's about colour, and that is the autumn leaves, it's about light as well, and that sort of shaft of light that you get as you're coming out of this small clump of trees. This was taken at about 7:30 in the morning. I was out for an early morning walk. That's my new routine. I bet you'll find loads of artists on YouTube saying that sort of they're spending all the time painting and they're getting unfit and they need to sort of do something to improve their fitness. Well, over a year of painting, I've definitely whacked loads of weight on and I'm not very healthy at the minute. So I've decided to, every day I'm getting out there, before I start work, start painting, I'm getting out there and going for a walk. And it's proving to be a really great source of inspiration, because obviously, you know, when I go walking, I'm always looking for something to that I can paint, and I take my phone with me. I'm not, this walk is sort of, the idea is I'm going to do it quite fast and, you know, sort of get a bit of a step on. So I'm not sort of looking too close, but if I see something like this scene, I thought, right, I'm just going to grab a picture of that because it's screaming out to be painted. So that's what I'm doing. So you'll probably see in the next few months or so paintings that I'm going to be doing from my early morning walk. If I manage to keep it up, of course, that's another thing. But I'm loving I did wonder if I was going to be able to get a decent effect going off with these colours in the foreground. And I thought, would it be too clumpy or not? I didn't know. But I think I've done enough. It's almost as if I've sort of put a posterize effect on the photo to sort of break those colours down, because I didn't want to go crazy and put sort of thousands and thousands of tiny little brush strokes in, showing all these leaves. I wanted it to be much more impressionist, as I generally do paint. So I did wonder if I was actually going to be able to achieve that. And I'm really pleased with the result. All the colours I picked off the colour wheel, as I've said. I've not dabbed onto the photo at all to select colours. And I'm not sure. Here we go. I'm now going in with tubes of paint, and I'm just sort of using the brush and the palette knife to smear that paint out as I get it on. I don't know as if you're going to be able to see too well on the video. It looked a lot, there's a lot more texture going off, I felt, when I was working on the iPad than I'm seeing now on this. But this is, by the way, by now at this point I am using thick paint, and I'm using the round brush, and there we go. That's it. The signature's on. So I thought the signature was too big, so I made it a bit smaller. So that is it. I'm just putting the final few touches to it, and that is my autumn walk. I hope you have enjoyed this painting. If you have, a big thumbs up as always is much appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, because I have lots of videos like this and I would love to be sharing them with you. So hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Bye.